We have the second match in the Trios Championship Best of 7 series. It's the finals of the Full Gear Eliminator Tournament, and for the first time since Full Gear, we hear from William Regal. All of this and more on Dynamite Debrief. Hey guys, how you all doing? The Wrestling Guy back here today, and welcome to another episode of Dynamite Debrief, the series where we have a look at everything that happened on this week's episode of Dynamite. The first Dynamite after Full Gear, a very successful Full Gear as well. So we're going to have a look at everything that's gone on this week's episode, talk about the matches, the promos, all the other bits and pieces that have happened on this week's show. Obviously, it is coming off the back of a very successful Full Gear, so we'll see if we can have a couple of questions answered in this week's episode of Dynamite. It is the Thanksgiving Eve episode of Dynamite as well, so if you guys are celebrating Thanksgiving in the in the US, I really hope you guys have a really fantastic time. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you go on to enjoy the video as well. Turn on that little notification bell so you don't miss any of the content coming up on the channel. Without further ado, let's have a look at this week's episode of Dynamite. So, we would kick things off with William Regal coming down to the ring to explain his actions at Full Gear. For those of you who haven't had a chance to watch Full Gear yet, spoilers are coming your way now. William Regal would turn on Jon Moxley in the main event to help MJF capture the AEW World Championship. So William Regal will be coming down to the ring to address the fans and to explain his actions for what happened on the show. Just as he was about to really get into it, Jon Moxley would come through the crowd. He would come down to the ring and attempt to confront his former mentor. Before anything could really kind of kick off, Bryan Danielson of the Blackpool Combat Club would come down to the ring. He would interrupt the two of them and would manage to talk Jon Moxley out of physically assaulting Regal. This was a very interesting segment. This was certainly an interesting way of starting off Dynamite as well. Danielson was almost being the middleman in this situation. He was almost trying to connect Moxley to himself by talking about his obviously Moxley now being a father, his alcohol problems he's had. Then he would then proceed to slap him. Moxley resisted the urge from the American Dragon, and he would remind Regal of issues that William Regal's got with his health and certain problems as well. This was starting to get really deep, very personal as well. The only niggle that I really have with this promo is it didn't really accomplish anything in terms of answering the question of what happened at Crown Jewel Full Gear. It didn't really answer a lot there. William Regal, I think, is in a very difficult position with the company at the minute. They're not really sure what they're doing with him, and they're not really sure what they're doing with this going forward. So this is certainly an interesting little thing that they're doing here. The chants of CM Punk are always good as well. You all know about CM Punk's position with the company at the moment, and the crowd are eating this up at the minute. They're really making a lot of fun out of this, which is nice to see as well. Regal would reveal that MJF wasn't going to be on Dynamite this evening, which the fans weren't massively happy about. But they were. He apparently was on set for a major motion picture, likely referring to the new Iron Claw film based on the Von Erich family. And yeah, it was an interesting way of starting off Dynamite. Not seeing MJF, not getting a lot of answers from William Regal about Full Gear. It was interesting. It did what it needed to do. Let's move on to what happened next. Our first match of the evening would be for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. It would be the defending champion, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, versus Jake Hager of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Great match on paper. Two really talented in-ring performers. I love Jake Hager as well. I think he's really good. Good to see Jake Hager back in the ring as well. It's been a while since we've seen Jake Hager actually have a match, so good to see good to see him in there. Some interesting spots in this match. Both men kind of getting a decent amount of offense in this one. Orange Cassidy, as he always does, got an absolutely fantastic pop for his entrance. The fans are absolutely loving him at the moment, and in all fairness, he's doing a great job as the All Atlantic champion. Orange Cassidy would play on this whole thing with Jake Hager's hat. Jake Hager's character at the minute is all about his hats. He would knock his hat off, which would end up infuriating Jake Hager, and there would be some good back and forth in this match. So there's some classic moments in here that you'd see from both. We saw the Orange Punch, which ultimately would get Orange Cassidy the victory. He would retain his All Atlantic title. We would also see some classic Jake Hager moves like an ankle lock as well. Now, the only problem I have with this match is that you've got a guy that we see on a regular basis, who is now the All Atlantic champion, Orange Cassidy. On the other hand, you've got somebody that we don't see very often, is just having the occasional singles match here and there on either Dynamite or Rampage. Now got a shot at a title in AEW. Now I know that the first thing you guys are going to be saying is the fact that AEW have got enough titles to probably go around everybody, but you've got guys that are performing like Lee Moriarty, for example, who's on the show every single week, pretty much having a match in one form or another, that isn't getting a shot at the title. So I'm really hoping that we get to see maybe a bit more from Jake Hager, and then maybe we can see a rematch between these two, or even see Jake Hager push towards Samoa Joe, who's the new TNT champion. So yeah, we'll see what happens on there. But this match did what it needed to do. My favourite part of this whole thing, though, was what happened after the match. So after the match, we would see the return of my favourite faction in AEW, the House of Black. The House of Black would make a return. Julia Hart would come down to the ring with Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and most importantly, Malachi Black. Malachi Black would come down to the ring and he would get an absolutely fantastic pop. It was as if we hadn't seen Malachi Black in AEW before. It was exactly the same kind of pop as when he first debuted in the company with Cody Rhodes. They would come down to the ring, and then the Firm would come down to the ring as well, which was really, really good. It kind of showed that no, sorry, not the Firm, the Factory, QT Marshall's group. It kind of showed that they kind of that's going to probably be the first sort of target. I'd love for them to push House of Black for the trios titles. I think that they would really, really deserve it. We'll see what happens after this Best of 7 series has finished. It did everything it needed to do on here. Julia Hart looked absolutely amazing. If you want to return a faction to your company, this is how you do it. So make notes, guys, because this was good. Absolutely fantastic. Great to see the House of Black back. Let's use them properly. Let's use the House of Black like they should be used. Let's see what happens in the future. But this got a big thumbs up by the wrestling guy. Absolutely fantastic. Coming up next, we had our next match of the evening. It was a Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament final between Absolute Ricky Starks and All Ego Ethan Page. So, Ricky Starks is absolutely on fire at the minute. The fans are absolutely loving him. Great to see him actually be used as well. I was really worried that we weren't going to see Ricky Starks get to the finals of this tournament. So I'm really, really glad that he has. And this is exactly what Starks needed for his career push as well. Since obviously splitting up with Team Taz, this is exactly what he needed. Now, we spoke quite a lot in last week's episode of Dynamite Debrief about All Ego Ethan Page and how I feel like he deserves to be pushed up for potentially a big title shot as well at some point. But Ricky Starks as well is on that kind of same kind of level for me as well, so this was a really difficult one to kind of call. Both men put in a good solid offense in this matchup, and your winner would ultimately be Absolute Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks will pick up the victory. He will face MJF at Winter is Coming for the AEW World Championship. This was a good match, really, really good. It was the one thing that I haven't really spoken about on these Dynamite Debriefs are these picture-in-picture commercials that AEW do all the time. this was breaking up this match something fierce. It was very hard to kind of keep up with what was going on in this match because of the constant picture-in-picture commercial breaks. So I'm hoping that we can cut those down, or maybe even reposition them on the program a little bit, just to stop these matches from getting broken up quite as much. I would say in this match though that Ethan Page looked like the better wrestler out of the two, and if I had to pick based on the quality of wrestling, I think Ethan Page would have deserved to pick up the victory more in this matchup. And I think you've almost got to look at the different avenues both guys are taking going into this. That it's kind of difficult to say which one has had the better run in the tournament. If you could hand out a spot to both guys to make it a triple threat, I wouldn't mind seeing Ethan Page, Ricky Starks and MJF for the title, so that's not too bad at all. A couple of moments in the match that kind of didn't really, I didn't really enjoy. We obviously had Stokely Hathaway from ringside, the firm. He would end up being ejected by the referee. Again, more involvements. It seems to be quite common in wrestling generally at the moment, not just AEW but also in WWE as well. But yeah, Ricky Starks versus MJF at Winter is Coming, so really looking forward to that one. Obviously, we'll all be covered on the channel, so do keep an eye on for that one in the near future. Coming up next then, we had the match I was looking forward to the most in the night, the Best of 7 Series Match 2 between the Elite and Death Triangle. So, the Elite would lose to Death Triangle at Full Gear on Saturday, which was a huge shock. I was almost certain that the Elite were going to beat Death Triangle here. But then we would get the announcement of the Best of 7 Series, which I'm not complaining about. I would quite happily watch these two teams fight for 7 matches. We obviously will get a slight break in January because it has been announced that Kenny Omega will be taking on Will Ospreay for the IWGP US title at Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan. So that's going to be a cracker. Please do make sure you go and check that one out. This match was good. It did everything it needed to do. It was action-packed. It was back and forth. There was certainly some setting up for the Elite to pick up the victory here, but Death Triangle would pick up a second victory, making it 2 against none in this Best of 7 series. As Penta would say, the Elite are zero miedo at the moment. No fear. The real meat of this match, though, was the finish, in my opinion, which saw Penta take a page out of Pac and Phoenix's book by rocking Matt Jackson with the Timekeeper's hammer. All 3 of them have now used the hammer. So, are we going to see Death Triangle turn heel in the coming weeks? That is what I'm looking out for. This is almost certainly setting up for a come-from-behind win for the Elite. They are 2-0 down. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and win a good amount in a row and end up winning the titles. Regardless of what happens, so this was a really, really solid in-ring match. And it would ultimately end up with Death Triangle picking up the win. So we'll see what happens on match 3. Up next, so we had a 3-way tag match. It was Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue versus Ty J and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. So Jamie Hayter is your new interim AEW Women's World Champion. Although she isn't. She is now the official AEW Women's World Champion. Thunder Rosa has successfully been stripped of the title due to injury. Therefore, we have no interim champion. Jamie Hayter is your AEW Women's World Champion. Yes, this gets a big, big thumbs up by the wrestling guy. I was absolutely over the moon when I saw when I was watching Full Gear when Jamie Hayter won the title of Toni Storm. Toni Storm's title reign has also been classed as an official world title reign as well, so it's not an interim world title reign. But yeah, Jamie Hayter is the champion going into this matchup as well. This was a really, really good match, a competitive match which saw all 3 teams pick up their various spots in the match, who had their own spotlight moments. Jamie Hayter, in my opinion, was the standout in this match. She is absolutely fantastic at the moment. I think she is at the top of the company along with Britt Baker and a couple of others. Britt Baker, I say this all the time in my videos, so I don't want to go on about it too much, but I absolutely love Britt Baker. She is by far at the top of female wrestling in general for me. She is absolutely fantastic. She is phenomenal in her in-ring work, her promo skills, the way that she presents herself, the way that she kind of can work on and off camera. She plays a heel absolutely brilliantly. Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, absolutely brilliant at the top at the moment. Some of the best effort from this match, I think, actually came from Ty Mello and Anna Jay. But it would soon end up being Hayter and Britt Baker that pick up the victory here. So what does that mean going forward? Prior to this match, though, Renee Paquette obviously would announce that Thunder Rosa was stripped of her title. And this match, it was interesting. Britt Baker ensuring that she would get the pin over Jamie Hayter. This is maybe setting up for Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker, which I think we've all expected is going to happen anyway. Could we see this maybe at Winter is Coming, or is that maybe a bit soon? Maybe we could see it at the next pay-per-view. We'll see what happens. Let me know down below in the comment section. Would you be interested in Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker? I know I would. That's a dream match for the wrestling guy right there. We had two quick segments following this. The setup for FTR versus Top Flight on this week's episode of Rampage. I will be checking that out. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. And we would also have an in-ring promo from the Acclaimed. They would end up beating Swerve and Our Glory at Full Gear to retain their tag titles. And this would instigate a feud between Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I really hope that isn't the case, because that does not sound good to me at all. Quickly moving on then, we had our main event of this week's episode of Dynamite. It was the Ring of Honor World Championship match between The Ocho, Chris Jericho, and Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. Going into this matchup, we all knew that this was going to be brutal, it's going to be hard hitting. Both these guys knew what they're doing in the ring. Now this was going to be, we all knew this was going to be a hard hitting match, and it certainly was. There was some open hand palm strikes, which always sound effective. And Jericho, within a matter of minutes, his chest was split open, it started bleeding, it looked really, really good. And Tomohiro Ishii, he would just carry on raining the chops down on Jericho's chest. Ishii would kick out of a couple of big moments, like he would kick out the Codebreaker, he would counter the Judas effect, and he even rocked Jericho with a headbutt at one point as well. And he would also actually deliver a huge lariat to Jericho to get a very close 2 count as well. This was really, really good. Tomohiro Ishii getting quite a lot of offense in this match as well, which is good to see. Jericho would apply the high angle line tamer, to which Ishii would resist tapping out as well, and initially flipped him off as well. So yeah, there's AEW for you guys, flipping him off there. That's what we'd like to see. I would go as far to say as this was Jericho's best performance of the year so far. I'm not a huge fan of the Jericho Appreciation Society. I think it's almost a very cheap version of the Inner Circle. I was a big fan of the Inner Circle. I thought that was a really, really good one. I haven't particularly enjoyed Chris Jericho's reign as the Ring of Honor World Champion either. But this was a really, really good performance. He does have the habit of having some very physical matches at the moment, which is great to see, considering the point he's at in his career. But yeah, this was a really, really solid performance. The champion, he obviously did earn his props in this matchup. He would end up retaining the title by beating Tomohiro Ishii. Absolutely fantastic. It was a really, really solid match and a great way to end off this week's episode of Dynamite. So, that was this week's episode of Dynamite Debrief. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know down below in the comment section, what did you guys think of Dynamite? Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.